In the heart of Abeokuta, where the sun shone brightly and the air was filled with the smell of roasted corn, the small flower shop sat quietly between the bustling market and a busy road. Tunde, a curious and bright-eyed 10-year-old, stood outside the shop clutching a handful of pennies. "Mummy, let's get roses for Grandma," he said excitedly, looking up at his mother, Mrs. Enyola. Her eyes were tired from work, but she managed a gentle smile. Tunde didn't lose hope. "I'll try with my savings, Mummy," he insisted, jingling the coins in his pocket. Eniola sighed, knowing full well they couldn't afford it. As they walked into the shop, the florist, Mr. Lade, looked up from his counter. He was a tall man with graying hair and a kindly face. "Ah, Tunde, what can I do for you today?" Mr. Lade smiled, but it was touched with sadness as he looked at the boy's hopeful eyes. "A rose costs much more than just those coins, my boy," he said gently. Tunde's face fell. He poured his pennies onto the counter, counting slowly. "It's all I have, sir." Mrs. Eniola watched her son with pride but also with a heaviness in her heart. She knew how hard Tunde had saved those pennies. Mr. Lade looked at the coins and then at Tunde. Something in the boy's spirit moved him. "You know what, Tunde? Today I'm giving you something special," he declared. "Not just a rose, but the whole shop." Eniola gasped. "Ah, Mr. Lade, how can you—" Mr. Lade chuckled softly. "It's all right. Sometimes a small gesture can make a world of difference." Tunde's eyes widened with disbelief and joy. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." He beamed, hugging his mother tightly. Eniola shook her head, both shocked and grateful. "We will never forget your kindness, Mr. Lade." As they left the shop with their arms full of roses, Tunde bubbled with excitement, dreaming of the surprise they had prepared for Grandma. While the roses were indeed a pleasant surprise, Tunde noticed something troubling as they walked back home. "Mummy, why was Mr. Lade so sad when he gave us the flowers?" he asked, his voice thoughtful. Eniola hesitated, unsure of how much to tell her young son. "Sometimes people have heavy hearts even when they smile, Tunde." That evening, as Eniola prepared dinner, Tunde watched her carefully. The worries she tried to hide slowly began surfacing in his mind as he recalled her quiet tears earlier in the week. It was not just financial worry. They were fighting off rumors and whispers too. Rumors that could ruin their small family. Later that night, Eniola and her sister, Auntie Moji, sat in the living room, speaking in low tones. "Moji, I'm afraid. The landlord says he's selling the house. Without an address, we can't prove residency for Tunde's admission." Eniola's voice quivered as she spoke. "But can't you reach your husband?" Moji asked, her brow furrowed. "We've tried. The phone number no longer connects. I fear he's already abandoned us." Tunde overheard from the hallway, his heart pounding. "They can't take our house," he whispered fiercely to himself. The thought of losing everything terrified him. All at once, the meaning in Mr. Lade's generous act began to take root in his young mind. The next day, Tunde returned to the flower shop. Mr. Lade was surprised but greeted him warmly. "Tunde, what brings you here today?" "Sir, I was thinking," Tunde began, voice steady with newfound conviction. "What you did yesterday was special. I want to help you too. Is there anything I can do for you?" Mr. Lade was touched. He paused, considering the offer seriously. "Well, the shop has been struggling, Tunde, but you have already helped plenty by just being kind and thinking of others." Tunde nodded, unsatisfied. "But I want to do more. I want us to make others as happy as you made me." The florist smiled, his heart lightened by the boy's words. "You're a good kid, Tunde. I'll think about your offer, but remember, it's the thought that counts most." As Tunde left, he didn't know his tiny hands had set a new plan into motion. Something bubbling away quietly, as all good deeds do. Back at home, Eniola received unexpected news. A friend from the community had offered them a temporary place to stay, a small, modest space. Relief flooded her, but it was the echoes of kindness and unexpected lessons that truly filled her heart. Then Moji brought even more water with another piece of news. "The community is rallying. They're planning a fundraising event, Mr. Lade's shop, and getting you back on your feet. He started it himself, inspired by an act of kindness he saw recently." Tunde listened carefully from around the corner, his heart swelling like a balloon. "We should help too, Mummy. he said, stepping into the room. Eniola looked at her son with newfound respect. Yes, Tunde, we will help because that's what we do when people need us, just like they've helped us. She hugged him tightly and whispered, sometimes the smallest acts spark the biggest changes, and it all comes back to love, shared and true. With this small revelation, the family braced for the days ahead, unknowing of the coming faith-driven transformation, but already richer for the bonds being woven through shared trials and the gracious hands of a kind community. The sun began to dip below the horizon as the community gathered at the field near the marketplace for the fundraising event. Tunde was nearly breathless with excitement, pulling at his mother's hand as they approached. Look, Mummy, so many people came, he exclaimed, his eyes wide with wonder. As the event carried on, laughter and music filled the air, but it wasn't long before Eniola noticed whispers passing through the crowd, flickers of uncertainty amid the joy. She caught sight of a man she knew all too well, her estranged husband, Segun, standing at the edge of the group, watching from a distance. Aunt Moji, noticing her sister's tightened expression, approached. Eniola, what is it? She asked quietly. Segun's here, Eniola replied, her voice barely a whisper. Moji's eyes sharpened as she sought him out among the crowd. Do you want me to? No, Eniola interjected quickly. This isn't the place for that. Let him see what he's walking away from. Meanwhile, Segun lingered in the shadows, his heart pounding. He remembered the promises he failed to keep, the family he betrayed. The joyful scene before him was a painful reminder of everything he had lost. As the evening wore on, the event was in full swing, with smiles and cheers echoing through the neighborhood. Behind Mr. Lade's flower stand, however, Tunde noticed his mother wiping away tears. Mummy, why are you crying? Aren't you happy? He asked, tugging at her sleeve. Oh, Tunde, Eniola said, kneeling to his level. I am happy, but some tears don't mean sadness. They mean thankfulness and sometimes regrets. Tunde hugged her tightly, trying to understand the complexity of adult emotions. It was then Mr. Lade joined them, sensing their moment of vulnerability. Eniola, Mr. Lade said gently, you've taught Tunde well. His kindness has inspired us all. That's a gift no one can take away. Eniola smiled at the florist, grateful for his wisdom. But before she could respond, a voice called out, hushed but insistent. Eniola, Segun's voice carried over the chatter, quieting everyone around them. The crowd seemed to hold its collective breath, waiting. Eniola stood up, facing Segun with a steady resolve she didn't know she possessed. What do you want, Segun? She asked softly but firmly. He took a tentative step closer. I know I have no right to ask for anything, but I wanted to see you, to see Tunde, Segun admitted, his voice laden with regret. Tunde, sensing the shift, held onto his mother's hand tighter. It's okay, Mummy. We still have each other, he whispered, his innocent words piercing the quiet. Eniola looked at her son, then at Segun. The old part of her wanted to lash out, to let him feel the burden of her pain. But another part, one slowly grown from the seeds of compassion she had seen blossoming around her, held her back. You left us when we needed you, Segun. But if you've come to make amends, know that we are not the same people anymore. We are stronger, together, Eniola said, her voice unwavering. Segun nodded, a flicker of hope crossing his weary eyes. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want to try, for Tunde, for you, he pleaded quietly. Beside them, Mr. Lade placed a hand on Tunde's shoulder. Sometimes, little one, the hardest thing to do is forgive and move forward, he said, glancing at Eniola with understanding. But it frees both souls. The words hung in the cool evening air, touching Eniola's heart. As if on cue, familiar faces from the church arrived, mingling seamlessly with those already gathered. Among them was Pastor Adewale, a man known for his gentle spirit and wise counsel. He approached, reading the tension in the moment. Forgiveness is a choice, Eniola, he said softly. Revenge feels satisfying, but only for a moment. True peace comes from God. Eniola listened, her heart slowly yielding to the truth in his words. She turned to Segun, feeling a wave of release. I need time, she said, her tone softening, and trust isn't easily rebuilt. But for Tunde's sake, I am willing to see what God can do. Sagun swallowed hard, nodding. I will take whatever you are willing to give, he said, his voice thick with emotion. From the sidelines, the community watched silently. Something shifted in that field, the kind of peace that only comes from a parable of grace. Later that night, as the family returned home, Eniola and Moji talked. Maybe it's time to truly let go and let God, Moji offered quietly. Eniola nodded. I think I'm ready. God brought us this far. I trust He'll take us the rest of the way, she replied, feeling the weight of her burdens lift. As they sat together in the small living room, Tunde spoke up. Mummy, I prayed for something good to happen. Does this mean Daddy can come home? Only time will tell, my dear, Eniola replied with a soft smile. We must have faith and trust in God's plan. Tunde grinned, his heart lightened by a childlike hope. I think God answers more prayers than we realize. The following days brought small, almost imperceptible changes. Segun began attending church again, seeking counsel from Pastor Adewale, learning to walk the path of redemption step by fragile step.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.